And it really helped that I had experience creating those web applications, and I was making personal projects like during high school, because that's something like people start to like try to get on during like school, during like when they enter university. They realize, you know, they have no work experience, so you gotta get on that. But I think I was lucky, like privileged to be able to spend time on that during high school, when time is a bit more, there's a lot more time.
Yeah. A lot of people who are ambitious, they have a lot of ideas inside their mind, but obviously like where you end up is it's the sum of all your other past decisions, right? So you recommended me the book, actually, the Fooled by Randomness.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
It's really good.
How far into it?
I'm like halfway.
Halfway.
I should have brought the book. And anyways, it's been a really good book. So I want to know your thoughts on like your own experience and where you're at, right? You're a founder, you're working on your own thing, you have other things planned. How much of like where you are right now is a matter of luck versus like the hard work that you were putting in like high school, middle school, what have you?
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting question. I think, no, for sure, luck will always go into play with success. So people can always look at different people that are like achieved and say like, oh, he was just lucky, she was just lucky, they were just lucky, right? And every time you say that, like that's 100% true. But that doesn't mean that hard work was like a prerequisite to actually realize the luck, to realize the success that they have. So it's interesting you said like where someone is at in their lives is like accumulation. It's like a sum of all of their previous hard work. I think it's more like a product. It's more exponential, typically, the growth. And that doesn't mean that consistent hard work isn't required, because there's like this cliched saying that success is when opportunity meets, or hard work meets opportunity, or something like that. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think that's 100% true, because when I look back and like think to the times I've got my breaks or like opportunities, basically like opportunities where I could actually kind of prove myself, right? Prove a certain level of competence, so then other people can see that and like take me on their project as well. There was always a lot of hard work that followed, that came before that. And that kind of hard work wasn't realized ever. And I think that it really speaks to the way that startup is also structured as well, and like the startup life. Like you can go for 5 years working on a startup and be like piss broke, like trying to run your own business, for example. But then it's in that 5th year where all of the hard work kind of meets an opportunity, and then you blow up, for example. I think that's kind of what it was. So for like to make it more concrete, for example, like in like middle school, early high school, I was just like building I got into web development during that time, because before then I was doing some other programming stuff, but it wasn't web development. I was first like really interested in web development and like tried practicing it a lot by like making projects. I would look at like other websites that I thought were really cool. And just purely out of curiosity, I guess, like how did they make it like that? I would just basically like copy it so for example, like the National Geographic website, that's one I remember of like just looking at it initially and going like, oh, that's pretty cool, let me try and make it for myself. So I did that like 20-30 times actually. It's and that's the cool thing with web development. When you make it, you can see it firsthand, kind of. So like any change you make, you see it immediately. It's a bit different than like programming in super low level and other things like that. So in a way, it is immediate. The work I put in to making the website, you could see it immediately. But then that was the extent of it. It's not like I got paid doing that, right? I was just like a couple of years just doing that. And then I got like an opportunity to like make a website for like an organization. It was like the small UN conference. It was a super small inaugural, as in it was their first time running this day conference. So then I made a website for them, and I could do it pretty efficiently, and I could do it to the level that they wanted it. Because I guess all of the year previous to just making websites. And then after that, I got noticed by another conference. This time it was a bigger Mall UN conference, like multi-day. It's several years that they've been running. Like 5,000 attendees. So then I made it for that. Then I could eventually start making it for like businesses, and that's how I got like paid as well. Then I went to more like SEO stuff because that's where the money was really at. Because
Yeah.
businesses, bottom line, you just want to increase sales, right? And so yeah, so that's how I initially got into like making money, things like that. So definitely the work needs to be there. And you work so that when you get an opportunity, you're able to actually realize the fruits of your labor. You work so that you can't just go like, oh, they were lucky, stuff like that. You can't just blame it all on luck. You
Yep.
kind of have to think of it, I think, as like luck is inevitable. Like you're gonna go through life, and you will eventually have that once in a lifetime opportunity. Like you will. I think that's just part of it. So you work in order for that, so that when that opportunity comes to you, you're able to fully take it on. There have been other cases where, for example, there have been other cases where I had an opportunity come to me, and I could have taken that on if I had like spent time in that domain previously. And the reason why those kind of moments like stick out to me is because I had interest in those domains before.
Yep.
It's like if I had practiced, put time into like developing skills in those domains when I planned on doing it initially, like a year ago or 2 years ago, then I could have taken up that opportunity. So that's why I kind of look at those and like think of them as missed opportunities in a way too. So
Yeah. I remember the book was talking about like how sensitive your life is to luck, right? I'll try to like explain this for the listeners, but like it's the idea that like a janitor versus a dentist, right? If a janitor wins the lottery, like that's a lot of luck, and the chance of that happening if like we did their life over and over again.
Yeah. They'd have to live like 300 million lives or something
Yeah,
like that.
in order for it to like proc again. While a dentist, chances are, with how many times like you redo their life, like you can kind of see that they would be somewhat successful on average, right? So he talks about luck proofing. He didn't use that word; he used a different word. So this idea of like you said, you will be lucky at some point in your life, but you can also be unlucky at some point in your life, right? All of your assets gone, fire in your house or something like that, right? So he talks about luck proofing, and the more like not necessarily hard work, but there are ways to make it that your life is less sensitive to like either good or bad things happening in your life, and it goes in like a positive trajectory, right? So how have you seen, or is there like things you've done inside of your life that have like kind of luck proofed it, in that like you have a good trajectory of like actually making it where you want to go without the need of like huge spurs of luck?
Yeah, for sure. I think school is definitely one of them. Your network is one of them, like just meeting different people. Well, I think the mechanism for how school is luck proofing in a positive direction, or like hedging against, like, I think the way that school does it is just like the knowledge, right? It's the degree, it's the social it's social proof with the degree. Networking or like talking to other people, I think that is luck proofing in a way that it just increases the probability of other luck. You're kind of just creating more opportunities to be lucky in a way. So that's so that's like creating luck, which is a bit different than like going to school, for example, and it's basically protecting yourself from maybe if like whatever idea you're pursuing doesn't pan out, you got something to fall back on. It's a way of hedging.
Nice. Talking about formal education. Very good segue. Talking about formal education, I know inside the business school, there's a lot of critique about school, in that like, oh, it's not practical, why do it, you're spending all that money, you could use that money instead, start your own business, get that going, it's practical, you can actually like become a millionaire, 10x your money, whatever, right? How much of your success is school accountable for, versus if you just didn't have school and you kind of just like ran with like your knowledge from, let's say, like high school?
Right. Yeah. No, that's a interesting thought. I think I think firstly, I had to say that I wouldn't count myself in a position right now where I'd say, at least myself, I'm like successful. I think there's a lot more that I want to do.
Yeah.
But to be at the point where I'm at right now, which is the point of some level of like financial independence, flexibility, freedom of time, which is really, really privileged stuff, right? I would say it probably like 5% to school.
Yeah.
No, but there is a lot of more I want to talk on like the academic side of
Yeah.
that too. But just from like the question, right? How much of that I attributed? Like 5%, probably less.
Yeah.
I think the biggest kind of contribute, at least in high school, the way that it helped me was friends. You just hung out with friends, and that's like good to keep you like sociable and like happy, not depressed. And then in university, the way it helped that 5% is also just other people, like other classmates, new people that you meet, growing your network, just meeting more people and talking to more people. In terms of like the specific academic material that's taught in the curriculum or in the courses, yeah, basically none. But yeah, again, there are a couple of things I do want to say about that as well. So what did help me a lot was having a mentor, and this was actually in high school. I met this person through, it's like a kendo club. Well, we call it komdo in Korean. It's like fencing, like Asian fencing with like the bamboo sticks. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we went to the same.
You were in kendo?
Yeah, my dad was really interested in that, so he just like brought me along.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he forced me to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But then one of the other people inside the club as well, he was like he's a software developer, and so basically I started taking just like classes with him, and he was like, in a way like a mentor. So he taught me a lot of things. At that point, I just knew like static websites, not too many advanced stuff within the web development space. But then he was able to teach me like web application development, front end, back end, all of these things that I guess like I'll say 70% of the industry uses.
Yeah.
I guess. So yeah, that's where I learned that, and from that point, I was able to make my own projects.
Yeah.
And then continue growing like that as I did. It was like a repeat of what I
Yep.
did with the websites, but this time with web applications.
Yeah.
And so that got me in school, NW Plus, or not. Yeah, at UBC, there's a club I joined, NW Plus, and like UBC BizTech. Those two are clubs. I applied to them first year as like a developer, and it really helped that I had experience creating those web applications, and I was making personal projects like during high school, because that's something like people start to like try to get on during like school, during like when they enter university.
Yep.
They realize they have no work experience, so you gotta get on that. But I think I was lucky, like privileged to be able to spend time on that during high school, when time is a bit more, there's a lot more time.
Yeah.
So I was able to do that, join those clubs, and then from those clubs meet a lot of crazy people, get inspired as well. So yeah, it's all really, really connected.